Good morning, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's staying safe. It's been getting a little bit cool here in the Midwest. The mornings have been rather brisk. My walk to school has been it's been cold. But anyway, I wanted to come and give you a Friday Reads, let you know about how life is going, and let you know how my reading life is going. But anyway, so like I said, the weather's been cooling off here, and it's been brisk. Yesterday was cold, so I'm guessing this morning will be cold when I get to going to school as well. But anyway, school, kids have been we've been kind of chugging along, and we know Christmas break is in the near future, and the kids, we got to try to keep them on track. But we, in class, we've been covering culture in one of my grades. They've been looking at what is culture and how does what are some different things that go into culture. Today we're going to look at how culture changes, and anyway, we're moving forward there. We'll be testing soon on that. And then in another class, we're rolling right into World War II. We were looking at the psychological aspect of some psychoanalysis of Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler, and how their minds worked. Trying to figure that out as best we can anyway. But I'm trying to show the kids that by knowing their past, you can understand what they were doing in the future. And so we're looking at the childhoods and just those things that happened to them in their youth. And so today we'll move forward because we'd been looking at the different dictators that had rose to power in Europe, and now we're going to start moving forward into Japanese aggression throughout East Asia. And that's where we're going to be at today in class. And then, pretty soon we'll be getting World War II going full speed ahead. And then in my 8th grade class, we are looking at the taxation period right before the American Revolution. And that was fun. We're looking at, what are colonial reactions to some of these taxes. The kids have tendency to want to try to do the easiest answers. Oh, they protested. Well, I know, but what's a protest? What actually goes into some of these protests? And so I'm trying to show them the interesting side of history, and really, when you dig deep into what was actually going on, it's pretty entertaining. And I'm really kind of stressing that. And then in my high school class, we're a little further along. I have a really good class this year, and we're a little further along than what we normally get. And so I'm teaching a brand new chapter that I've never taught before. And those of you that follow the channel know that I am more American history. World history is out of my comfort zone, and so I'm having to go and study and learn some more, and that's been fun. So we've been looking at the Crusades. In the later part of the second part of the Middle Ages, we're looking at those Crusades, and then we'll look at town development, and what else are we going to look at? Oh, the bubonic plague. That makes sense in this year to make sure we cover the bubonic plague. But anyway, we're getting into some stuff that I just hadn't taught the kids before, just because we never get that far in this particular section of my world history class. But anyway, that's what's going on at school. We've got some basketball practice that's started up this week again, so that's been good to get the kids going. We've been taking them in. It's been an every other day, like 7th grade goes one day, 8th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, every other day with them, so that we can get the numbers smaller at practice, and we can keep them spread out and make sure they're safe in their activities. But that's been nice. We've had a whole bunch of kids back at school, so that it's just been really good. And hopefully we can, as I've shared, we can kind of continue this trend of being able to stay in the classroom as best we can and stay safe in our learning environment. So Anyway, so what have I been reading? So this week was a productive reading week for me. Over the weekend, I finished Einstein and did a buddy read with Ariane over at Book Zealots, and that was wonderful. Really liked this book. I had not read anything on Einstein, so that was a lot of new stuff for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I'm going to do a book review. I hope to do that tomorrow morning. I just hadn't put the notes together. I've been real busy. We got a grade check coming up at school, so I'm trying to make sure all my grades are in and the kids are all caught up. So I've got to get that done. So I hadn't had a chance to put my notes together on this book. But I finished this last weekend, and excellent read. Would recommend it. Look for the book review. I'll try to put, once I get it done, I'll try to add it to the notes down below. But this was one of my nonfiction November reads. So this Friday reads actually will also be kind of my November nonfiction November, and my wrap up for that, because I didn't get everything read I wanted to, but I was happy with what I got read, and this was one of those books. I also finished earlier in November. I'd finished, oh no, what was it? And of course, The Witches by Stacy Schiff. And that was one of my reads. That one was a read. And then I actually added this one to my nonfiction November, this one, In the Heart of the Sea. And thoroughly enjoyed this book. This is probably going to be on one of my best books I read in 2020. I just really enjoyed this short, compact book by Nathaniel Philbricks. Thought it was thoroughly entertaining. I did a book review on this one earlier in the week. I'll put the link down below. Go check that out and see what you think. Let me know what you think. I did also not last night, but the night before, I got to watch the movie In the Heart of the Sea, which is a good movie, but it didn't really follow the book. It was they added some Hollywood to it, and it was all right as far as. I enjoyed the movie, but you guys know how it is. Sometimes when you read the book first and then you watch the movie, sometimes the movie is not quite what you were expecting, and that's kind of what I came to. The movie left out a whole bunch of stuff he covered in the book, and I thought you could have added it, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, look for that review for In the Heart of the Sea. So those are the two books that I finished this week. I also DNF'd a book, How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I started that, didn't get real far. I gave it a couple chapters, and it did not grab me. And, I've got so many books stacked up around here to get read. I was like, if it doesn't grab me immediately, I don't know that I want to spend the time to read it. And on top of that, sometimes with my fiction, I read a chapter or two, and then I don't read it for 3 or 4 days before I read the next couple chapters. And so I like to have a fast-paced fiction book that's pretty easy to follow when I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to it, which during the school year, that's kind of how things go. I don't have a ton of time to donate to or dedicate to fiction. And what I noticed was this was talking in the present, and the next chapter is in the year 1623, and then a couple pages later, it comes back to now, and then it jumps to 1860. So it's like a time, it's going to jump back and forth, and I'm just afraid I'm going to get the story all confused, and the writing just didn't grab me. So I DNF'd this book. Not that it was terrible, it just wasn't my style. The book that I'm reading right now, my current read, that I will probably finish, I'm hoping tomorrow, if not tomorrow, it'll be Sunday, but I'm hoping I can get this done tomorrow, is John Grisham's Sycamore Row. I will have that finished, and that'll lead me into my next fiction. But this is a good book. I've shared with you before. It's about an older guy in Mississippi who he dies and cuts his children out in his last-minute will that he hand-wrote, cuts his children out of the will, leaves all of his money to his housekeeper, and it's like $24 million. And so there's a big argument over where the money should go, and the kids are trying to go back to the old will, and just a big legal argument. And then there's some other stuff. I'll do a review on this one when I get done. I'm probably going to do a review on all 3 of the Jake Bridges novels. And yeah, so that's my plan. So that leads me into the next book that I will pick up starting Sunday, Monday for my fiction read, and that is A Time for Mercy by John Grisham. This is his newest book that's out, and it's another Jake Bridges novel. And so I'm pretty excited to partake in this, and I'm hoping that'll be able to run right through this one. But I'll do a review when I get to that point. But that's what I'm going to start this week as far as my fiction reads. And then I started this, was it last week or maybe the week before? And I'm going to read this, and then I have a feeling it's gonna fly as I read it. But George Washington, The Forge of Experience by James Thomas Flexner. This is the first of his, I think it was 4 volumes on George Washington. And this is 1732 to 1775, so it takes you from his birth all the way up to the American Revolution. And this is supposed to be one of the best biography sets on George Washington. Flexner did an excellent job. It reads really quick, so I think I will probably finish this one once I get going on it this week. It'll probably go pretty quick, and I'll give a review. And I had read his 1-volume biography on Washington earlier in the year and did a review on that, and I enjoyed that. And but I think this one's going to be better because he's able to, through 4 volumes, he's able to dump a lot more information into these 4 volumes instead of just the 1-volume biography. So, and I'll try to remember to leave a link to that book review that I did on his 1-volume book. And if I could get to it, or I might dabble in it, Nathaniel Philbricks, In the Hurricane's Eye, The Genius of George Washington and the Victory at Yorktown. It's another one of his American Revolution books histories that he's done. I have liked his histories. I think they've been very readable and enjoyable. Some of them I've liked better than others, but I think he's done a pretty nice job overall. And I think a lot of this, as I got going on it, I think a lot of this, you can tell by the painting in the background, is going to be a lot of naval history that was involved in Yorktown. And again, I have not really gotten very far, so that's just a guess. But Philbrick reads pretty quick, so within the next 2 weeks, I should have both of these books done. So I'm pretty excited about all of my future reads. I should be able to, start covering some ground a little bit more than what I've been covering in, November. I like nonfiction November, but for me personally, it ended up, just because of how things got going at school with just different items going on, and we had practice started and everything. My reading life slowed down, and that happens every year for me. But it was a little bit of a disappointment because I couldn't cover as much ground as I wanted to. But that's just how it goes. And I've always got all these books on the shelves. There's always, as we go, I've got plenty of reads, and I've got nothing but time, right? So anyway, BookTube, I appreciate you watching. Thank you to the new subscribers. Feel free to leave comments down below. I'd love to converse with you. Till next time, happy reading.